I heard a quote years ago that I've never quite been able to shake. And if you've been a longtime listener of the show, I'm sure you have heard me repeat it many times. I don't know who said it, but here it is. Life is one long series of problem solving. And the sooner you accept that fact, the less you will suffer. Today, I want to sit with that idea because I think it might be one of the most grace-filled things you can internalize. Welcome to your daily hit of grace and grit, your quick dose of inspiration to kickstart your day. I'm Courtney Townley, and here is today's hit. Most of us move through life waiting for problems to stop. We tell ourselves that things will calm down after the project wraps up, after the kids get a little older, after we get through this health thing, after the finances stabilize. We are constantly orienting toward a future version of our life where problems have finally been resolved and we can just live. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I know on some level you already know this to be true. That future does not exist. And the moment I truly accepted that, something in me relaxed in a way that it really never had before. My life didn't get easier, but I stopped fighting the nature of my life itself. Problems are not the interruption to your life. They are literally the content of it, right? Life is one long series of problem solving. And yet so often we're hyper-focused on how to eliminate problems. And sure, there are ways to have less problems. There are ways to suffer less. But we're always going to have problems. So I think the real work is in how to become someone who moves through problems with more skill, more grace, and more resilience. And midlife, this will probably come as no surprise, is a particularly rich season for this recognition because the problems tend to stack up in ways that are hard to ignore, right? You're navigating your own health challenges, even if that's just navigating the uncertainty and wildness that is the menopausal transition. You might be caring for aging parents, still parenting kids who need you in a different way than they used to, managing careers and finances, relationships, and a body that is doing things that you didn't necessarily plan for. And the temptation is to look at all that and conclude that something has gone wildly wrong, that your life is harder than it should be, that other people are not dealing with this much. But what I've come to accept and know is that the women who age most gracefully are not the ones who have fewer problems. They're the ones that have made peace with the fact that problems are permanent. And I don't mean like a problem, like a specific problem being permanent, although that can be true, but problems are permanent in that they will always be in your life. They will always show up in some way, shape, or form. And the most graceful women I know have invested in becoming better at solving problems. So here's the thing about problem solving that I think we ignore a little too often. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be developed. It can be practiced. It can be learned. And the women that I work with who navigate difficulty most effectively aren't the ones who are somehow luckier or their problems are smaller. That's not necessarily true. They are navigating their problems effectively because they've built a certain capacity over time. The capacity to regulate their nervous system under stress so they can think more clearly. The capacity to ask useful questions rather than spiraling into helplessness. I mean, heck, they've gotten better at asking for help. They've also expanded their capacity to separate the problem from their identity, so they don't take every difficulty personally. These things are learnable. That is the good news. They are practicable. I don't know, is that a word? And every problem you move through, however painfully, is adding to that skill set, whether you realize it or not. An interesting research note here, research on post-traumatic growth consistently shows that adversity, when processed rather than suppressed, often leads to greater wisdom, more resilience, and life satisfaction than periods of smooth sailing. The problems aren't just inevitable, they are generative and well documented across psychology literature. I think about when I gave birth to my son. It was such a beautiful time. I mean, I had a lovely pregnancy and we were so excited to welcome this baby into the world. And I had a beautiful birth, but I had a really traumatic afterbirth because I hemorrhaged. And I ended up having to get a pretty significant blood transfusion. And I ended up staying in the hospital for, I think it was 4 days. And that was not expected. Nor was it expected that motherhood would slap me totally upside the head. Like I thought I was so prepared, right? I had the nursery ready. I had all the cute clothes. I had, the time off work. I just thought I would smooth sail right through this. But that is not at all what happened. Not only was my body physically struggling to recover, but I didn't know the first thing about taking a baby home and how to handle that and what was actually coming down the pipeline in terms of the sleepless nights and all the things. But interestingly, I share that with you because I also think it was I remember having moments of just such profound love for my husband at that time. Now, we were struggling on a lot of levels, but I had in some ways never felt closer to him because of the problems we were facing. And I feel the same way with my dad now, right? I'm rumbling with my dad, dealing with a lot of his, the Parkinson's and now some early signs of dementia. And there's a lot of problems that I'm constantly having to solve 1,500 miles away from him. And yet, I've never felt closer to my dad. I mean, I go there every 6 weeks. I'm spending more time with him, but we're also moving through hard stuff, which really just does beautiful things for relationships. If you can look at it through that lens, right? And I know not everybody does, but the opportunity to look at it through that lens is always there. So we've got to stop waiting for problems to end. They're not going to end. And that's not me being pessimistic, okay? That's one of the most freeing truths I know. It just is a truth. And the sooner you accept it, the less you will suffer. When you accept that life is a series of problems to be solved, you stop spending so much energy on resistance and start investing in capability, in capacity. You become less surprised by hardship and more skilled at navigating it. I mean, seriously, some of the most resilient people I know have had a lifetime of big problems. And so what I think is a really big deal, they just kind of blow past it because in the span of what they've dealt with in their lifetime, it's just not a big deal. You stop measuring the quality of your life by the absence of problems, and you really start measuring it by who you're becoming in the process of solving your problems. And that shift from resistance to engagement, it's really, I think, such a profound and health-promoting thing. So we all have problems, right? I mean, if you go through a period where you have no problems, ride that wave. I mean, those moments might happen like a blue moon, right? They show up maybe a couple times in your lifetime and only for brief periods. But those of you listening to the show today, I guarantee you could list probably at least 5 to 10 problems that you're currently facing in your life right now. I want you to identify today, what are the problems that you wish would go away? Is it all of them? Because that could be a wish too. I just wish I didn't have any problems. And what would it look like to turn towards them instead and say, this is reality. These are problems. And I am going to devote myself to solving them. right? You can't fix them instantly, I get that, but you can engage with them as the next thing that life has been asking you to learn how to navigate. And I get that the load can be heavy. When you have a lot of problems happening at one time, that can be very overwhelming. And I think that's a really important time to delegate, to try to take some of that load off and have people help you to navigate those problems. But life is one long series of problem solving. And the sooner we accept that fact, the less we will suffer. Remember that, repeat that to yourself, and I hope it offers you a little bit of the relief that it has offered me. If this show has added value to your life, I would be so grateful if you took 2 minutes to leave a review. It is one of the most meaningful ways that you can help other women to find this podcast and hopefully download it. Thank you in advance, and I will see you again soon. If this stirred something inside of you, imagine what a whole book of clarity and courage could ignite. The Consistency Code, a midlife woman's guide to deep health and happiness, goes even deeper into the mindset and practices that create real, meaningful change at midlife. Grab your copy today over at theconsistencycode.com and keep the momentum alive.